Golf season quickly approaching. They're now entering the Florida swing this weekend. So we've got a big show for you. We got a huge video coming out this week with the world number one, Scottie Scheffler. We're going to talk about that. We are going to talk about the Mexico Open. We got Players Championship merchandise. We're heading out to Pebble Beach this weekend. Full swings coming out. We got a lot of discussion about a lot of stuff. Team USA versus Canada hockey. It's a great show, and it's all brought to you by Chevrolet and the Chevy Equinox. You go to Chevy.com/EquinoxEV. Check out product info, lease offers, amazing deals. But we got a lovely show today, gentlemen.
Yeah, it's great to be back. Another week. A lot of stuff going on. We loved the Mexico Open this week. So, yeah, we do get into that. Shout out to Brian Campbell. An amazing story. It's something that we really need to start highlighting more in the sport because that was so exciting to watch. And the other thing that's exciting to watch is Chevrolets, roaming down the streets. I always see them all the time. You see the Chevy Equinox EVs. You see the Chevrolet Tahoes. I actually saw Juan Soto gifted his teammate Batty, I think is his name, the rookie from last year, with a new Chevrolet for giving him his number. For giving him number 22. He gifted him a brand new blacked out Chevy. Oh yeah, like a Chevy Tahoe, like the RST version, whatever it is. It was sick. Thing is, he turned it on and he was like, whoa. So like if that's being gifted for something as important as like your jersey number, which you're gonna be remembered by for the rest of your life, that's what like they're trusting Chevy.
Yeah, go to Chevy.com, check out all their fleet. They got a bunch of good stuff on there. Obviously the Equinox is great. Chevy, they're the best in the business.
So yeah, it's a fantastic show. Enjoy it and make sure you enjoy this link, which is Chevy.com/EquinoxEV. Once again, check out all the product info, lease offers, amazing deals, 17.7-inch diagonal standard touchscreen display. It's the best in class. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
Now, I think if we get Lucas Glover in these Trump meetings, this thing will be done by Wednesday. He's vocal and he's ready to fire.
I love he said it's rude. Foreplay by Barstool Sports. We are back. Big week. We got a lot to discuss. Per usual, we got all three of us back together, which I don't think we've had a ton of over the last couple of weeks. I'm a little distracted. I just had this guy who's been incredible on tennis picks who randomly DMs me, just DM me, and was like, you have to take this guy now. They're, whatever they do, tee off or dropping the puck right now in this tennis match. I'm trying to find that. But anyways, we got a lot going on. Dadbod Classic coming up, so I'm sure we will discuss that. The fellas making their annual trip. That's incredibly relatable, out to Pebble Beach to play for the weekend with our great friend Josh Isner and a bunch of our pals. We got Players Championship merchandise, so we're wearing it. We got it all over the place. This hat right here, I didn't want to be too doubled up, so I got my tailor-made hat on, but this Players Championship hat. This one's a great, almost Carolina blue color. I love that. But 10 a.m. Eastern on Tuesday, the day that you're listening to this podcast, online, we got Players Championship merchandise. Maybe the cleanest. I mean, I know we love the Phoenix Open. We do a great job with that. I live here. It's my favorite event of the whole year. But maybe the cleanest of all the logos is just the gold man with the players. It looks really, really, really good.
Great stuff.
It really is. It's the premier PGA Tour event. You could be PGA Tour, you could be Live, you could be living on Mars, Earth, no matter where you are. You know that this tournament brings the juice, man. Regardless of where you fall, regardless of who you vote for, it doesn't matter. That gold man swinging has always just brought the juice, Waste Management, fantastic. We sell a ton of merch. It's a party, though. It's a bachelor party scene. There's people getting piss drunk all over the place. There's sundresses. This is golf at its peak, aside from, the Masters and the majors, and that has a whole nother energy and pulse to it. But for just what they've built here, and we could never have sold a single thing, and I would say the same thing after going for the first time. The way that they build those grassy stadium,
perfect
surrounds, and when you're walking around TBC Sawgrass, and it's just growing up playing the Tiger Woods video game, and you're just playing Sawgrass, and you're trying to hit the island green, the 17th, which some people say it's a peninsula, other people say it's an island. We have island green hats that sell out within seconds, so make sure you check that out. But just an amazing tournament that just has that magic when you're there. So to everyone that's going there, get ready, gear up, make sure that you do get our merch drop at 10 a.m. because those tents are always insane to go and maneuver yourself through. So make sure that you just ship it right to your house. It'll be there in time before the tournament if you order today. And yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing time for the PGA Tour. It's when they really start to rev up and they kind of distance themselves from Live and all that stuff. where, the guys that did end up defecting over to live, they missed this tournament. The John Rahms, these guys, like, they missed the players. Getting the players on your, you notch of players on your belt. You're like, you're doing something. You're winning a ton of money, and you're solidifying yourself, cementing your legacy. So yeah, I'm very excited to get down there. I love Sawgrass. I really do. What a hard golf course too. Just not talked about enough how difficult that place is.
Very, very difficult. And I echo everything you said. I think outside of the Masters tournament, it is the best tournament to attend that there is. It is so, if you're really going for like a golf tournament, Phoenix Open Party, you're right. You can't really compare anything to that. In terms of going and viewing a golf tournament, it's about as high a stakes as it gets. The golf course is so iconic. You know almost all the holes, but you know at least most of them. You know all the finishing holes. And then the viewing experience is unlike any other. The stadium's atmosphere, the stadium kind of structuring of the entire thing. You can watch anybody at pretty much any given time from a great vantage point. It's spread out nicely. Like, dude, that whole kind of grassy oasis around the clubhouse and how much room there is from the range to the first tee to the 18th green and the whole massive clubhouse is so cool. I love the Jacksonville, Ponte Vedra Beach, Atlantic Beach area of Florida. I absolutely love it. The people were great. All the little bars up and down the coast are awesome. And then you go just a little bit inland to Ponte Vedra Beach. Just a great feel and vibe about it. So, and then in the middle of it, yeah, you've got the highest stakes that the PGA Tour offers. There was a little rumor last week that Rex Hoggard had going around that he heard that, live players were potentially going to be allowed to reintegrate into the, and I'm using that term from watching Severance with my friend Trent Ryan, reintegrate into the PGA Tour at the Players Championship. I don't think there's a chance in hell that happens, but it's got a lot of people going. So, yeah, we got the merchandise. Our team nailed it again, and I can't wait to be there. Can't wait to be in the tent. I can't wait for one of us to be playing in this Creator Classic situation.
Yep, we're doing a qualifier at our first Barstool Classic stop in Myrtle Beach next week. We will be at True Blue in Myrtle Beach. We can't wait to kick off this Barstool Classic season. And after we do the event, we're going to hop right out on the golf course and do our qualifier. We got Francis and Beef coming down. It'll be kind of a stroke play event. Whoever wins goes and gets to play TPC Sawgrass back 9 the Wednesday before the Players. So this is the first time we've had like real stakes on the line in a video. So that should be a lot of fun. And yeah, I can't wait. I actually, for me with the baby coming and everything in April, it definitely feels like things are like getting packed all into like this pre-baby time in my life. Like it's almost a little daunting how much we have. We have so many different tournaments to go to, Barstool Classics, videos to film, but it's exciting. Like these are huge moments that are coming up right now. Like this, the Players always gets me jacked up. And the fact that we have a chance to go out and actually play the course in those conditions in front of, however many people that are going to be there, I'm really jacked up. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Severance, by the way, like,
what do you think?
Sometimes they're just making it too confusing just to be the confusing show. And I love it. I really do love it. But you tend to think I get weary of the writers where they become self-aware of like they're the confusing show. So now every single episode we're gonna throw a little wrench into something so that like there can be a Reddit thread about what's going on.
Anybody who watched Lost would agree with that can happen to writers who read their own news clippings too much. So I'm a little bit with you. Like the first season of Severance, and I was talking to somebody about this, was so good because it was such a new world. Everything you learn is new. The severance procedure, that's new. The world that has accepted sort of the severance procedure, that's new. What are the inner workings? When they're up, when they're down, what's it like? Now that we're into the second season, they seem like they're trying to throw us off a scent every single episode because you're learning less. Like you've established a world where it's like, all right, here are the players, here's the procedures, here's kind of what's at stake, although they keep that pretty hidden. And yeah, you're getting less answers and like a million more questions every single episode of season 2, it seems like.
I don't even know what we're trying to achieve anymore.
Agreed.
I know what like some of the guys that are severed, and this is obviously all spoiler alerts if you have never listened
I've only finished the first season. So
yeah.
We'll stop.
So then you're done. We're done talking here. Yeah.
I'm like one episode into season 2, and I will say currently I have reached the peak thus far of the experience, where the first 4 or 5 episodes, I said this to Trent last week, but it was like I truly couldn't binge watch it because it was so just like I just couldn't handle the world. I couldn't handle how like monotonous and depressing and like shitty the world that these people are living in was. And then once they started to get some of the questions and then a few answers, and then the end of the first season was awesome.
Banger.
So I'm kind of right there right now.
Yeah, no, it's a good place to be.
First season's perfect. It's perfect television. You know, and that happens to a lot of shows. Just like eventually, you got to start having answers. Like, and that gets to like that's when the writing really, you know, you got to be really good at it and really disciplined because it's you know, you come up with a world. It's like so exciting. It's a new thing, and then as you get further and further down the path, at a certain point, the viewers are going to want answers, and yeah, we'll see if they come up with those.
I love how White Lotus does like the different characters and different storylines, but it's the same world. So you're actually watching the same show over and over again, the same kind of plot, but it's all different actors, all different personalities. So you're actually, it feels like you're watching something new. They've kind of nailed that with like, what's that? Like an anthology or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though this season's a little weird. I don't know if you guys have started that, but it's a little bizarre.
I have no.
There's like incest things going on, which are it's unfortunate.
Some what?
That is unfortunate.
Like incest stuff. It seems like that's like the big thing in this season, which is like, why would that be like the thing that you'd, you know, the brother thinks his sister's hot. So it's like, I don't know why that's like it's bizarre.
It is a show.
It's just a bizarre storyline. It's like, I don't know. There's a million storylines that could go on when your family goes on vacation. Why that one was picked by Ned Schneebly from School of Rock is a little bizarre to me, but
it is a show that likes to make its audience pretty uncomfortable. Now that's crossing.
It's as uncomfortable as I've ever been watching TV.
That sounds fair if that's the subject matter.
Brothers looking at their brothers' asses. Okay. Weird. Just like 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, just being like, you know, just you just kind of pause it. You look at Twitter and you see KFC being like, what the fuck is going on in this show? And you're like, you kind of move on with your night. So yeah, unfortunate, but again, still a decent like idea of a show that like they're able to change the characters so it keeps it kind of fresh.
Yep,
I like that.
Me too.
Yeah, I'll say, just to put a bow on it, the final episode of the first season of Severance was one of the best episodes of TV I think I've ever seen.
Yep,
it's really good.
Oh my god, it's
awesome. Heart pounding,
the whole time.
Yeah,
like
really good,
exciting, revealing.
Shout out
but
Ben
also,
Stiller. Ben Stiller's like the director and producer of it.
Yeah.
Can't believe that. Really good. Team Canada, U.S. hockey, you know, we talked about this a bunch over the last couple of weeks too. The Four Nations. What a tournament. What a game. What a devastating finish. I mean, in a lot of ways, it was a little easier to accept because it's so awesome for hockey, and it was kind of poetic and cool that it was Connor McDavid, and that there's going to be Olympics and there's going to be opportunities coming up, and that Team USA is so damn competitive with Team Canada that it gives you a lot of excitement about future battles between the two countries in hockey. But it really felt like this was going to be it. Everybody was watching. Everybody was talking about it. It was perfect timing in the schedule where there's basically nothing else going on. So you had even the biggest, you know, sports figures at Barstool Sports and beyond were all talking about this game. And if USA would have done it, it would have been just more chirping Canada. And Biz had his whole clip come out before about like, there's going to be a national emergency if Canada loses this. We were that close. And then they had the biggest star, Sidney Crosby did it in 2010. Now the biggest star, Connor McDavid, does it in 2025. It was devastating, but it was an awesome game is what I'll say.
Yeah, just really devastating. They're still just the king, you know, they have not been dethroned, and like there's really nothing you can say about it. We're obviously very close. The United States has a really good pool of young players. I mean, they obviously won the World Juniors. They're you know, the younger generation is definitely starting to match up with Canada, but those top dogs just get it done, and it's still the home of hockey. And as much as we want to say that it's not, and how we want to take it away and make it the 51st state and all these things, Canada just produces winners, and they get golden goals, and they get Four Nation winning goals. And, you know, Sidney Crosby's still doing the goddamn thing. And who knows how that tournament even would have went if Russia was able to play in it. I mean, you got Alex Ovechkin. Guy's like 85 years old, probably. He's been lying about his age since he was 12. He's still scoring. He had a hat trick last night. He's 13 away from breaking Wayne Gretzky's fucking record. The guy is out of control. Imagine that team was able to play in the Four Nations, call it Five Nations. how good they'd be. Kucherov and Vasilevsky and Ovechkin. It's just there's so much good hockey out there. It's the best thing that the NHL has ever done. I hope they continue to do it. I'm already waiting. First of all, Brock Nelson had a tough tournament, and it's not my fault. Okay, like he didn't score, he didn't get any points. He's not a fourth line. He's not a fourth line player. So you send him out there with Trocheck and Kreider or Trocheck and whoever else he was playing with, Kyle Connors, and like he's just not that kind of player. Like if he's just like a accumulator on the power play, and he's a penalty killer, and he goes out there and wins faceoffs. But like, fuck, man, he like iced that puck, which wasn't icing that led to the goal. But I've heard a lot. A lot of people have just really been on me.
They're blaming you.
That icing.
Coming after you like it was your fault.
I mean it is what it is. Like Austin Matthews loses his spot there, and Adam Fox was the reason for the game tying goal. He just like throws one out off the half boards, and like no one's looking. And Brock was on the ice for that. I think the Metro was like a -7 in the final game. I think like between Brock, Trocheck, a couple of the guys on the Devils, it wasn't a great, but just really good hockey, just tight. Like clench your butt cheeks. They're out there, even though they're not scoring and getting points. Just everyone was playing as hard as they possibly could. And it was great to watch. Shout out to Canada. Congratulations.
Yeah,
I'm sure USA wants to take it back, but they can't.
To speak to the popularity of the event, I was flying while the game was going on, and there were TVs on the plane. And, sometimes you'll fly on a Sunday or Monday, and every single TV will be NFL football, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football. Everybody on the plane was watching USA Canada. It was, I almost took a picture of it because it was everybody. Nobody was watching movies. Nobody was watching a show. They were like, we're watching USA Canada, myself included. Yeah, you got to get credit to the NHL. It's like this tournament, it didn't exist a month ago? And they were like, we're going to do this in replacement of our All-Star game that's kind of lame, just like all the All-Star games. And, it got a huge number and people are talking about it, and Canada won, and that sucks for us Americans. But that's a hell of an event they put on. Very, very cool for a guy who doesn't watch hockey, and me.
Now you've got the Olympics coming up, which this is the perfect precursor for that. It's got like all these guys, the Kachucks, are going to go in there with as much blood in their mouth that they can taste. They can smell the blood of Canada, that they want that revenge. So that'll be fun. And then, of course, like in classic Islanders fashion, the first All-Star game weekend will be at UBS Arena after the Four Nations and after the Olympics. They're bringing the All-Star game back, and it's at the Islanders home arena. Unreal. So it's like everyone's gonna be like, fuck this place, fuck the All-Star game. Like, why, boring team, boring event. Just like, I can't win. Imagine we got the Four Nations game, and that place was packed. People coming to Borelli's wearing all the different flags from all different countries. Nope, we're getting the All-Star game. We're getting guys skating around cones.
What's stopping Gary Bettman from scrapping the plan and being like, we're a Four Nations league now? Every All-Star break, we're doing Four Nations.
I think they have so much hype around international play that you almost have to like take a year off after the Olympics, because then you have the next Olympics coming up after that. And now that the NHL's back in the Olympics because they weren't playing in the last one, so there's been a huge gap. That's really why this has been so big. It's because they didn't play during COVID. So really there was no like international play from NHL players since like, what was it, 2018 or
2016, maybe something like that.
Yeah. So there was a lot of guys that have come and gone in the NHL that really didn't get a chance to play international hockey. So I think that's really why it was like the perfect storm. But they're definitely going to keep the All-Star game at UVS, and it's going to be a shit show.
Damn. All right, moving on. We got a little golf. Full Swing's coming out. So I believe, this week, Full Swing season 3. Is this season 3?
Yes.
Season 3 is coming out. They released the clip of Scottie Scheffler getting arrested. Was sort of their big teaser that they released today, Monday, that a lot of folks in the golf world are talking about. I was watching the clip. Just still one of the craziest things that's ever happened, really. I mean, Scottie opens the clip basically being like, I was just driving in for my morning tee time in a major championship. And then without anything really happening, to be honest with you, then I was just in a jail cell. And you're like, what the fuck? And one of the crazier things that's ever occurred, and they get, Tom Kim, they get all these guys' perspective on it. They cut to a bunch of the news clips being like, the cop was then banging his flashlight on Scottie Scheffler's car and then yelling obscenities at him, and then threw him in jail. Just wild to relive that. And it really kind of reminded me of why I do actually love Full Swing, is like the reliving of all the events is actually pretty damn awesome, and showing all the different layers of all the events, of everything that goes on throughout the entire year in golf. I mean, we talk about a lot. and we do 2 shows a week. We talk for about 3 or 4 hours just about golf that you almost forget about a lot of it. You just move on. We talk amongst ourselves all the time. We don't even know what we say on this show. Kind of record, trying to react, whatever, and then you kind of forget what happened. So going back and reliving it all through full swing. I love the damn show. I think it's great. Been great for, I think, people getting into the professional game. It's made Joel Damon, who had a great finish last week, tied for 6th. Shout out to Joel. It's made guys like him like household famous with how big Netflix is. So yeah, season 3 coming out. Kind of excited about it.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited for it. The trailer for season 3 with the Scottie stuff actually reminded me like when The Bachelor would drop a trailer, the last frame of a Bachelor teaser was always like somebody getting hauled away in an ambulance. And it was
Always.
like, whoa, man, who's getting hauled away in the ambulance? So it's kind of working out for what we've always wanted for golf, where we've always wanted golf to be a reality show to a degree. And they're really using the formula because the last frame of that teaser was Scottie Scheffler like getting arrested. So yeah, no, I'm very excited to live through it again. Living like in that moment, that morning was crazy. And I'm just excited to see a more in-depth look at what exactly happened. And yeah, Full Swing is a great show. I think it's been a huge net positive for golf in general.
I think I saw Chad Mum say there's a Caddies episode, like a full episode of the Caddies, which is good.
Oh, cool.
So I know a lot of people asked for that.
They
Really are. They're so important to all these guys' lives and personalities. And like they kind of get, like Gino kind of got his like time to shine in like the Joel Damon episode. But, these guys really are. They're like ride or dies, and they quite literally make it or don't, depending on how their guy gets the ball in a hole or not. So it's a wild life. Speaking of wildlife, the Mexico Open. Did you guys watch any of this yesterday? Because that was, my dad had a little bet going down, I think on the back 9, because we were having chicken cacciatore at my parents' house last night.
Ooh,
A little fall off the bone chicken, so good.
Yep.
So good. My mom made a delicious dinner last night, and we were just watching the golf, and it was must watch for a couple of no names. You got a guy that hasn't won in 185 starts or whatever it was, coming down against a guy that I couldn't even pronounce his name, and you're like, I have to watch this. Going into a sudden death make or break kind of tournament for guys that their lives are going to change. It delivered. The Mexico Open was very, very, very entertaining. I have no idea what the ratings were because I can't imagine that many people were watching it, but we can get into it. Like that final shot going out of bounds and coming back in for Campbell. I mean, wow. Talk about the golf gods.
Yeah, for real. And I would imagine the ratings were probably pretty low. It's one of those tournaments where after the fact, you're asking your friends and people around you, like, did you see that guy's shot that was going way out of bounds during a playoff hole and it bounced all the way back in? But it brought the goods. Yeah, I was watching it, and once that happened, who did your dad have, by the way?
Campbell.
There you go. That's nice. That's a good
dude,
side to be on.
We were watching it, and so he obviously had chances to win, like the whole entire kind of like he was back. He was like 3 back, and then obviously in the head to head and in the sudden death, he had chances to win. They both weren't making putts. They both were just missing like 5-footers, 6-footers. And it was just like, you couldn't believe it. It was agonizing to watch. One guy was in the bunker. One guy was short of the green. And then when Campbell hits it out of bounds, that initial, like it's over. And then it pops back out and you're like, holy shit, you're still alive. As a gambler on the DraftKings Sportsbook, I can't even, like, our hearts were racing of the ups and downs. Can you imagine being the guy where you haven't won your whole entire life? You got your PGA Tour card in 2015, right? You've been grinding. You got it for 2015. You've been on the tour. In 2017, you lost it. You've been grinding on Monday qualifiers and Corn Ferry Tour events. You played 185 something events. You have a sudden death, hole for hole match to go win $1.2 million in Mexico. You got your girlfriend or fiance or wife, whoever was, going nuts on the sidelines.
Losing it.
You just missed a putt the hole before to win it. And now you watch this ball. He comes out to in, that was like a swing that we would make. Gone instantly off.
That's a Rigsy drive for sure. I've hit that drive a million times.
It was
never
OB.
Back and play.
Goes out, and then it starts to leak right, and you're just like, I fucking lost again. You know what I mean? He's just like, I blew it. I'm this close. And then all of a sudden you hear all these oohs and ahs. And then the guy in the tee box is like, you're in play. Like, holy shit. Not only are you in play, but you're in the middle of the fairway.
It's also like
unbelievable stuff.
It's also like your name's Brian Campbell. And that's a name that you see on a million leaderboards bottom who's just not getting it done. No offense, probably a super nice guy, but Brian Campbell, just the name isn't moving the needle.
The golf in the Mexico Open is interesting because we talk all the time about, I think a lot of people would look at that leaderboard and just be like, ha, how lame is this? This is why we need Liv and the tour to come back together. And a lot of people were doing that throughout the weekend. Yet I also think it shows you that if you do get immersed in the storylines a little bit and you get a finish like you got there, the drama in golf is almost unmatched. When you've got playoffs, you've got people putting to change their lives. You've got the crazy bounce on the second playoff hole where that ball's going OB, and afterwards, him and his caddy are toasting to the tree. It is interesting in that the Campbell story, he's basically Alistair. I mean, he's Alistair. Mm-hmm. That's like exactly like Alistair winning. He's never won on the Korn Ferry Tour before. He's 31 years old. He now, all of a sudden, because of, one tournament, he never had a top 10 of the PGA Tour in his life. One tournament, he wins. He gets a great bounce off a tree, but played great, of course, to even get there. He's like last on the PGA Tour driving distance. I saw that. Yeah. And to compare the two of them, you've got this young 20-year-old South African stud who is Pot Gator, who is literally first in driving distance on the PGA Tour, averaging 326.9 yards off the tee against Brian Campbell, who's literally averaging 277.8 off the tee, and he's 145th in strokes gained off the tee, and he was 186th the driving distance. It's like these two guys going against each other. The Campbell story with all that was awesome because he won over $1 million. Yeah. He's now got 2-year exemption on the tour. He's into the Masters tournament. Like, that is, as a guy that, we all know as guys that know someone that's in this exact boat, it's insane how life-changing that is. Seeing the wife out there and the whole deal is like, you can really realize and sense how life-changing that is. So if you got immersed in the story, it was unbelievably awesome. Yet I can also see how in golf, like, that's just not going to really transcend for a lot of people. They're not going to tune that in if they see those names on the leaderboard. But I'm with you guys. Once you did do it, it was absolutely riveting, like every single shot. It's also why, like, that par 5 is a great hole for a playoff because it was like they were in this bunker. He hooks one left. Now he's got this chip shot. Campbell hits it out of bounds, gets a bounce, and then hits a wedge to like 4 or 5 feet. It was like each time they played it, they were all in totally different spots. And that is really fun rather than just watching them hit, fairway, hit a mid-iron in there and try to make a putt. That hole kind of delivered, and it showed me that, like, the holes can really matter when it comes to a playoff like that. But yeah, I'm with you. It was actually pretty awesome for the Mexico Open.
Yeah, in a situation like that, you're asking a lot of the audience, which I don't think it's an unfair ask. Like, we talk a lot on the show, like, how do we get the ratings up? Like, we just got to get good players involved. And that is a big part of it because largely the viewership that's just hanging around on a Sunday wants to get spoon-fed Rory McIlroy versus Bryson DeChambeau. They're like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm going to go watch it. But in a situation like this with the Mexico tournament, the viewer actually has to have been following for the whole weekend, everything. They're listening to the broadcast. They're getting the information on who's Brian Campbell, who's this other guy. Oh, that one guy doesn't hit it very far, and the other guy hits it really far. And, if you do take the time and get invested in it, that golf tournament yesterday can be something that's just as thrilling as 2 big names coming down the stretch at a big tournament.
Yeah, my uncle was watching with me and my dad last night and he's a sports fan, but he's a casual golf watcher. He doesn't know any of the storylines. He knows the big names. And he actually said at one point, because me and my dad were talking about all these storylines about like the Alistair type story and how this guy, and I'm getting like dramatic about it, like really saying all the things out loud, being like, this guy's about to putt for the rest of his life. Like this, like they're showing his wife, like she knows that this changes everything for them. And my uncle's like, this is how I have to watch golf, is like with people that actually know golf, because I'd just be watching this and it was kind of boring. Like, I don't know, like there's no meaningful putt. There's no meaning to these putts to a guy that's just watching it and kind of like channel surfing. So yeah, I mean, when stuff like that happens and you're on social media, obviously we're all tweeting about it and we're getting the conversation going. Maybe that like sparks you to go watch it. You got some context from a tweet or an Instagram story being like, hey, this guy Campbell's about to go putt a 5-foot putt for $1 million. He's never made more than X amount of dollars in his life. You're going to go turn that on with that context. But if you're just like a casual sports viewer, yeah, it's up to like the announcers to kind of set that up. And for them, they've kind of been doing that for 6 hours already on the broadcast. Yeah. Like, do they even think that people are tuning in towards the end or whatever? So it is hard. It's like it's like lightning in a bottle that you have to try and catch. And I don't know that like the broadcast really nails it because it's Like, who are they actually trying to broadcast for? The person that just turns it on at the end, or the person that's been watching it the entire day? There's two totally different kind of viewers, you know?
Yeah. And it is interesting, right? Like on the production side, that's hard because if you say that and tell that background 10 times over the course of that 4 or 5 hour broadcast, like you're driving yourself crazy and a decent amount of viewers crazy. But if someone tunes into the last 4 holes to watch, they don't know any of that. Then, like you said, that's extremely boring. You're just watching a guy named Brian Campbell against a guy named Potgieter, and you don't like know, and you don't really care, and you're just like, oh, it's a couple millionaire golfers playing against each other. Like, it doesn't really matter. And then when they really set the background of like, no, man, this guy, 31 years old, when you're grinding out of the Corn Ferry Tour for a long time, you're basically making no money. He's had a few years on tour, never finished like top 10. So really, you might think that like when Rory wins, it's awesome. When Scottie wins, it's awesome. And it is. It's like this, it goes to the legacy and greatness and all that. But this is more important in terms of changing lives than that is. Like this guy legitimately winning that tournament versus finishing second is completely life-changing for someone that as a 31-year-old has been pro for what, a decade, almost a decade, and now is just getting to that point where he finally had a life-changing moment. It's like this relief. It's, you know, he said his caddy was in tears afterwards talking about how like this is him chasing the dream, and now the dream is like actually here. He's got 2 more years at least on tour of like continuing to pursue the dream. Whereas when you are on the Corn Ferry Tour, you're like a couple bad months away from being out of a job, you know, and like having to go back to Q school and start at stage 1 or stage 2 just to try to have a freaking job. And the next thing you know, you're up on the Canadian Tour, you're playing on the Asian Tour, the South American Tour, and you're like trying to literally be able to have somewhere to play golf for a living. Instead, you know, he's got a good start to this year, gets himself in that position, and then under the most intense pressure, makes the putt. Like if you understand that context, that is as riveting as it fucking gets when you're watching golf.
Yeah, it's just hard. I mean, sports fans only have so much bandwidth. They only sort of see the stories that are amplified. They're stories that are ever going, like Scottie Scheffler winning a million times last year. It's not that sports fans wouldn't be interested in what happened yesterday. It's just, you know, it takes a little bit of like pretty much research and figuring out who are these guys? What is their position? Have they ever won? Where did they come from? As opposed to just like everybody knows where Scottie came from. Everybody knows where Rory came from. Everybody knows where Bryson came from. It really is asking a little bit, and the broadcast can help, but it is asking the viewer to really invest in what they're watching. And I don't think you're going to get a ton of that. But if you do, you can get incredible drama.
They almost need a breaking news ticker on the bottom and get like super dramatic about it. Like Brian Campbell going for his first ever win, life-changing win, and it kind of just like goes across. They would do that for other sports like live look-ins on ESPN. They don't do that for the average just guy going for his first win because it's not sexy enough to kind of like, you know, break apart, you know, if First Take is on, they're not going to say, oh, we're doing a live look at Brian Campbell. He's about to win his first event ever. Even though like that's such a big story for the PGA Tour that if they were better at that and like getting that story out there, then that would be like a superstar story. A guy who's played for 10 years. They would do that in other sports, right? Like, you know, journeyman MLB player, pitcher pitching his first game ever at the age of 33 is like in the 7th inning of a no-hitter or something like that. Like that is basically what Brian Campbell did. This is life-changing. His life is done. He's moving into another house. His kids are going to have money. It's a life-changing event.
Yeah, I don't know how you convey. You just need bullet points, like bullet screenshots that you can just disperse across the internet. You do it during the broadcast, but the PGA Tour puts it out. Everybody sort of retweets it. So you can get like, all right, this is where this guy's from. This is how old he is. This is when he turned pro. I don't know if that's going to do it, but the broadcast somehow needs to convey it in a way where it'll get people interested. It's a hard thing to do.
It's a really hard thing to do, especially when your business is like numbers. And essentially there's been proven over the years that like numbers are delivered by the stars. The game is driven by the stars. And if you've got a leaderboard that doesn't have a lot, you know, like they're showing a ton of Joel Damon, even though Joel's not in the mix, but as they like, it's not that he wasn't in the mix, but he wasn't as in contention as a couple of guys. It looks like maybe he could get a top 5, but like very, very unlikely he was actually a breakthrough win. Yet they're showing him a lot because he was by far the biggest name that was actually on that leaderboard. And that's understandable. That's like the stars. So they're in a little bit of a weird spot with that, where it's like in order to get people to watch and drive people towards it, they do need to lean on like the stars and the names that people know. But you also have to, like what Kiz talked about a lot, was like, we need to create new stars. There needs to be an understanding that like the new era of golf needs to be driven by the young, low, mid 20 something, or if it's a journeyman who just broke through, he's 31. He's not that old in terms of like he can still play golf professionally for a little while, but creating new stars, that's like a weird recipe to try to figure out between relying on your go-to stars that you've had for a while that you know are going to deliver, and then like creating those new stars is not the easiest thing in the world to do.
No, it's really not. I think what golf needs, it needs a lot of things, and I think something like this is probably on the horizon, is somebody, a golfer, a really good young phenom golfer growing up in the YouTube era who has a YouTube page and is also very, very good on the professional tour that he's on. You could argue Bryson has a little bit of that, but he's a little bit older now even. So if you can get like a young phenom.
Akshay,
yeah, that's something like that, but maybe even the generation after him. Like there's going to be somebody who has a YouTube page from a really young age and is also really good and is going to break onto a tour. And if they have a baked in huge YouTube internet presence, I think that will help translate some of it. It's not going to be perfect, but at some point, I think that person is going to come along, and that would go a long way with golf viewership, and certainly in terms of lowering the demographic that watches it.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So yeah, I think it was a great sign for the game that like golf can still be a great product, even if we don't have Tiger Woods or we don't have Rory against Scottie or whatever. It can still be a great product. It is such a dramatic game down the stretch. Like there's really nothing quite like watching people try to close out a golf tournament. It's just the shit that you get, the moments that happen as you as the viewer can really start to tell. Again, like they start to show the same holes, so you kind of understand like, okay, this is a birdie hole, this is a bogey, this is a tough one, this guy's got a one-shot lead, but he's gonna have to play this hard hole, but then he's gonna have a birdie hole. Like you start to really see how the tournament ending, like it kind of crystallizes before you, and then you get to understand as it unfolds. Like I love that part of the finish of golf, and it really kind of almost highlights too how like boring a lot of the rest of golf, like Thursday, Friday, that kind of stuff truly is like hard to get people fired up for. And, they're doing a lot more trying to showcase the cut line on Friday, which is great. And that's like one of the best things that you could do. Saturday, things start to heat up. It's a little bit moving day, sure. But man, the end of a golf tournament really is awesome drama when it's close like that, no matter who's in the mix. And when they can do a good job at the production of highlighting the storylines and then like watching things unfold in a way where you as the viewer kind of can clearly see how it's going to shake down and clearly see which moments are going to be big and what needs to happen, and then watching it happen, it's really unlike any sport, and how like the drama just like builds up towards the end. It's great.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, it was a great day.
Yeah, I think that's good for golf, but I like that we're getting a little bit of a mix. We got Rory, we got like Dietrich, we're getting like a little bit of a mix is good. Even though a couple weeks ago we were just going on and on about how we need Rory to win every week, I think a little bit of a mix is good.
Well, what's funny is like if you have two middle of the road guys, then it's just boring when there's no storyline.
Yeah,
like the American Express didn't seem to really get a high viewership because there didn't seem to be really any storyline unless I missed it. This one just kind of resonated with people because of like the age of the guy. He'd never gotten it done. Like this is really, like I said, like a lightning in the bottle story. Like it's an Alistair, it's on the edge of your seat, playing for the rest of his life type event. He's never going to get on that stage again. He's got to take advantage now. The game's passing him by. He's tried for 10 years. He's last in driving distance. This is his last shot to get a check. And he did. That is like, I don't even know if that has anything to do with the makeup of the PGA Tour. It's just like a great story that should have went more viral in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's not repeatable.
I don't know if, it's probably not repeatable. But the reason we on this podcast argue for Rory winning every week is because obviously that would help with numbers. But the reality of the situation is you're not going to get that every week. And you're going to sometimes get a Brian Campbell. And, some of these tournaments I'm sure have happened in the past where the story was somewhat similar and we just didn't know in real time and we just didn't figure it out. And that is what it is. So, but yeah, there's just also going to be times where, it's two middle of the road guys and it's pretty boring. Just like we say, there's going to be times in hockey games where it's two pretty shitty teams and nobody gives a shit. And that's sport. Unless you turn it into pro wrestling and you just always have the big stars on the biggest stage every week. And that's pretty much it. Otherwise,
sport.
You're going to have variance. It's just sport.
like the Jaguars play the Titans at 1:00 on a Sunday in Tennessee. It's just like maybe not the most exciting game of all time. It's just that's not going to do the same numbers as the Chiefs Bills. It's just not. It's sport.
But it's also that Titans Chiefs game or Titans Jaguars game is going to get 15x what golf gets because it's golf. We're talking about golf and football. Like
relatively speaking, it'll do way less than you know what I mean.
That's
even the NFL is looking at that being like, fuck that game. That's just a throw. My
argument was more like at the end of the day, you get to a certain point where you play out all of these scenarios, and at some point you just got to get to football is more popular than golf, and the lowest rated football game is just going to be huge, but the lowest rated golf is going to be like 13 people watching.
Yeah, and I would also say, like, you realize, right, in terms of stars coming and going, how much it changed. Like 10 years ago, Chiefs-Bills game would have been a 0. Like nobody would have given a shit. So it's like it would have been a Titans Jaguars game. So it's like it shifts and it changes. And Jake Knapp was a little bit similar last year. Like he had come off the Korn Ferry Tour. We had been covering him a couple months before when he played in the Chicago event that we did for the Korn Ferry Tour, and then he won the Mexico Open. Now he's got a little bit, I would say he's got a little bit more like pizzazz in the fact that he's Jake Knapp. He's got the swing, he's got the look, he's got an interesting name. It's not Brian Campbell. But like he's 30 years old now. And so, he was in a relatively similar boat. But you're right. Those stories don't really get captured that often. I think they could. I think when it does, it was cool to see it get as much attention as it got. It seems like the most wholesome, guy and family and crew, and his caddy was like in tears. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome to see. So credit to the old Mexico Open.
Shout out to Brian Campbell. Brian Campbell just got like 20 minutes on the golf podcast. So he did something right.
Yeah.
Damn right he did, dude. Damn right he did.
Is there another athlete named Brian Campbell?
I'm thinking of hockey.
Sabres defenseman.
Did he play for the Panthers too?
Yeah, I believe so. He played for the Sabres in like 2004, those teams that went to the finals, Eastern Conference finals.
So what also people might not know, later today, we're recording on Monday, we've got a dozen match coming up. So I want the brains working. I like that you recognize Brian Campbell
play for the Florida Panthers?
Yes, he did. I believe he went there right after.
We're hot, boys.
It almost feels like I want to text. It almost feels like I want to text Jeff Deal and like put a 1 on the board before we even start because Frankie knew Brian Campbell played for the Florida Panthers. We got to get that going.
And the Blackhawks.
Yep.
Okay, let's go Blues.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
That is really good stuff. For us, golf is very simple. It's a chance to get out, have some fun with our friends. Inevitably, little things have a way of ruining it. A group ahead could take forever. You can't find the fairway. It could be cold. It could be crabby out there. You never know. Fireball. The Fireball 50 milliliter shooters are going to make sure you have a delightful time every single time. Had a few once again this past weekend out on the golf course. 70 degrees, sunny. You're thinking, how can we possibly have more fun? Fireball nips. That's how you have even more fun out there.
Yeah, you do it on the golf course. You bring the nips with you. Also, for me, I'm a big advocate of having it for like game nights and parties at the house. The other night, I had a couple people over the house. We played some games, some board games, and we. For me, I always bring drinking involved in it, right? So if it's like shut the box, it's shot the box, and if someone shuts the box, you take a shot. And for me, it's like instead of Yahtzee, it's Shotsy. And if someone rolls a Yahtzee, we're all taking fireball shots. And we played Clue. And if someone guessed it, if you guessed it wrong, you had to take a fireball shot. Turns out we had a lot of fireball shots, and fireball at the house on ice. You get the little 50 milliliter shooters. You toss them out to your friends. It's just a great vibe thing. It gets the people going. They catch them. They twist them off. They pound them down. It goes down so easy. That cinnamon flavor is so iconic. It's one of the best all-time shots of all time. Literally at their distillery, it's their number one money maker. That's the one. That's the gold standard. That Fireball cinnamon whiskey is like pure gold in a bottle. And there's a reason for it. It's because it's good and it tastes good.
There's no shot glass, no chaser needed, none of that. You just crack it and knock it back. It's that simple. If you're really feeling like upping the ante this weekend on the golf course, at home, hosting a party, make sure to grab the new Fireball Birdie Shot Club. It is literally a golf club filled with Fireball nips. Get a first look, folks, at the new PGA Tour 2K25 free now on PS5, Xbox Series S and X, and on Steam. You build up to 3 My Players. Progress can carry over to the full game. So again, this is a first look at the new PGA Tour 2K25, and any progress that you make, it'll carry over to the full game. You can play on TBC Scottsdale, the WM Phoenix Open event, the back nine. But hey, we've loved the 2K series. We are in the 2K series. The new game's coming out, and you should get the first look for free, by the way.
Yeah, an amazing game. We got a chance to play it. It's been a couple of years in the making, so you really know that they took their time. This is all for the newest system, so it's a new gen game, which means they were totally able to revamp all of the graphics and all of like the swing features and all of like the way that the ball, all the mechanics and all of that stuff. It looks great. It feels great. We have our Barstool Golf Society in it. The game comes out this weekend, so get your hands on it now. Get the free to download version of it, and then make sure that you're getting the full game this weekend because the Barstool Golf Society is going to kick off. We're going to do a big event at Pebble Beach, the official Barstool Golf Society.
Yeah.
So when you do get the game and you're listening to this, you're going to go to societies. You're going to say join society, whatever you need to maneuver yourself to get to that. I think it's just 2 clicks. And then you go to search for society. The official Barstool Golf Society is what the name is. You'll see a big event at Pebble Beach. They revamped all the graphics. Pebble Beach looks incredible. We're going to be out at Pebble Beach while this goes live. So we're going to hit some shots in the real life golf course and see if we can get them closer in the virtual world this weekend. It's a lot of fun. The courses are incredible. And even just like we talked about this last game, like in 2K23, I've built a couple courses, Butters Bay and Knives Creek, which I'm going to hope to get those into the new game. I got to talk to our guy, Crazy Canuck, but the way that you can build courses is so much fun. You can build them literally to the specs that like legitimate architects use the same software to build out virtual golf courses to then place those coordinates in real land and then build the real golf courses. We actually played the Lido out at Sand Valley and they built it in PGA Tour 2K23. So that's how detailed it is. Go mess around in that and also play people's courses on 2K25 that they've made. Crazy Canuck is one of them. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. We'll be streaming. I got my dad an Xbox. He's going to be streaming with me too. He's very excited to play in some matches. And I know these guys will be in the mix as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Make sure you download right now for free. Download PGA Tour 2K25 First Look. You can download that right now. A little bit of update. You know, we had Live contingent in the PGA Tour contingent with the executive branch contingent at the White House last week. One Tiger Woods, Adam Scott, Jay Monahan, Yasser. Were in the at the White House with President Donald Trump discussing the reunification is what they're calling it of professional golf. There was this quick report, like I kind of mentioned earlier, from Rex Hoggart that maybe by the end of the day, I think on like Thursday, that like maybe by the end of the day they're going to announce that Live players are going to be able to play in the Players Championship. And then nope. We got the same statement we've always gotten, essentially, from Jay Monahan. He said, we share a passion for the game and the importance of reunification. Most importantly, we all want the best players in the world playing together more often and are committed to doing all we can to deliver that outcome for our fans. So absolutely nothing definitive whatsoever in terms of statements has come from that. Now, what actually occurred in the meeting, nobody really knows. I hope that that's true, that they really just want everybody to come together and play more often or play, all the time like they used to. But, it's an interesting thing that crew is going up to the White House to meet with Donald Trump, the president. It's interesting no matter how you shake it down. It gets covered by all the news outlets because it's an incredible thing. But I don't know that anything has yet to come from it.
I do like that Trump is involved because I think he wants this as a notch on his belt in terms of he's the guy who brings the golf leagues together. And I think that's a really big motivating factor for him. And I think he wants to get that done because he wants to be the guy who eventually calls a press conference and is like, this thing that's been going on for a couple of years, I did this. And now there's all these professional golfers are back together. I think that is a positive. Like, I think him pushing this thing along actually could get it done. Again, these guys all met and then the press release was pretty standard to what we've seen the last couple of years, but hopefully getting all these voices in the same room and having somebody motivated to be like, let's get this done. Maybe something will happen. That's all. That's my
get
takeaway.
it done, right? Like it's good to get it done, regardless of who does it. Like it's like
totally
we needed to get done. It's been 4 years. We've been talking about this damn thing on this. It's almost as long as this damn podcast has been running on. We've been having fucking Live talk. So it's 2025. This has to get done now. It is funny, like with all the things going on in the world, that he's like holding golf press conferences about 2 different leagues, but like it's a huge listen. It's like it is an international conversation, because if you lose golf to like the Saudi Arabian regime, like fully, like that's just like a big loss for America. It's an American sport. The PGA Tour is an American league that, we love to have at our tournaments and our players play. We've lost a lot of players, that big name players that have gone with, basically empty checkbooks and blank checks. They're signing the Saudis. So that has to end now. And like we just want to see the best golfers play against the best golfers. Whoever has to get that done has to get that done. And it seems like it's happening.
Sounds like it's going to be Adam Scott getting it done, pulling the levers.
Adam Scott, yeah.
That's right.
Adam Scott standing there, and then like Tiger Woods getting like chanted for Black History Month was just like, it was
incredible.
a very bizarre scene. They were just chanting Tiger, Tiger.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome scene. I laughed out loud at that one. Tiger up there with like his suit and his kind of like sneakers looking thing.
And Trump was just pointing at him like right there.
Like, that's Tiger Woods. That's Tiger. Look how great that guy is. And then, Tiger came in and said something real quick. Just like, happy to be here. Like, whatever. It was just
get it done, fellas. Get it done. Please.
All right. We had a little Aimpoint. Did you guys see this 18-inch Aimpoint putt from Lim Kim? That's who this was. That was going all over the social media channels.
I did see that. Yeah.
Really, I kind of actually I wasn't even looking into it. I was just kind of going through headlines from different websites to make sure we kind of threw stuff together for the outline, and ended up doing a little bit deeper of a dive. I think she kind of got screenshot screwed on this one.
Okay.
Like, I saw the full clip. It might have been Claire Rogers, somebody else who tweeted the full clip, but it was like she had like a 10-footer for a birdie, just hit it like 18 inches by, and then walked up. Literally might have just stepped in front and did that Aimpoint thing for half a second, stepped back, and then tapped it in really quickly, like all in less than 5 seconds. So it wasn't that big of a deal. But the screenshot went everywhere. Like, Aimpoint is going too far, and everybody was diving in. But I just want to say, and with a quick accidental investigation, she kind of got screenshot screwed on that one, and I don't think we need to use this as a big Aimpoint thing.
That's nice. That's providing context, and we appreciate that. Because from the screenshot, that's the only thing that I saw, and then like 99.999% of everybody else did no research and was like, "This, we've lost. What happened to the game that I loved? It's gone." But
there was another Aimpoint conversation. I think it was maybe Colin. It was like 2 weeks ago, where like someone was talking on behalf of him, like, or defending him, saying like, you're actually just like, the context isn't there. Like, he basically is like ending his Aimpoint situation here. And they were talking about like, why do you need an Aimpoint every single putt, no matter how close it is or whatever? Like, we just need to get rid of it. No, I mean, all of this is just nonsense until they just do the shot clock on the putting greens.
Correct.
It's all just like, we're seeing it with the TGL. You just got to do it. It doesn't have to be as fast as TGL, because obviously like guys like Tiger Woods sometimes don't get it off in time, but like, you just got to make it a number so that if they want to do Aimpoint, they learn the new system to just getting it done, and they have a faster system and they get the ball in the hole quicker. Just simple as that. Enforce the rule. It's already there.
Did we talk about it on the show? It might have happened last week. I think the LPGA kind of stepped up their rules for slow play. They might have tightened the screws a little bit. I don't know if anybody else saw that.
Yeah, they had a huge week. I think it was a week and a half ago. They had a huge week where they put out the stat, and it was like the final group played in like 3 hours and something minutes or something like that.
Wow.
I'll have to look exactly what that is. But yeah, it was like, and then I saw a bunch of the players were kind of reposting it. And I do think that they had some sort of, they implemented something, they were trying something, and it worked out really well with the pace. So look, we've had a lot of talks on the show about pace of play. I think everybody on this show obviously want pace of play in general to just be faster. But we've also had folks come on here and make good points. Like Kisner made the point. I think Rory's even made the point, being like, yeah, I gotta be honest with you, I don't think pace of play is that big of a deal. I don't think it's gonna change the ratings dramatically if it takes somebody 5 hours and 15 minutes or 4 hours and 30 minutes to play a round of golf. It's much more on sort of the broadcast. Don't show the boring stuff, show more actual golf. And if someone needs to do Aimpoint, walk around and read their putt, at the end of the day, their putts are worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's their process. Who gives a fuck? That's just what it takes them to do it. So we've kind of heard arguments back and forth, and I think we've all sort of agreed that, like, yeah, it's not necessarily just if the pace of play is shorter, all of a sudden the ratings are going to go from 500,000 people watching to 10 million people watching. It's more just like, in general, I think quicker product would be good. Baseball kind of showed that. So again, it's a little bit of a tricky sort of issue to tackle, but I don't think it would be a bad thing overall if people sped up. And I think that all the stats show that like Aimpoint has not helped people. But I don't know that you would go ban a technique. I'm like a little bit torn. I don't know enough on the stats and whatnot. We had Adam Scott, who's of course one of the great voices in the world of golf,
Power broker.
Yep, and we had him walk us through the whole Aimpoint thing when we played with him down at in Jacksonville, and it was actually very interesting hearing him go through the whole Aimpoint and the degrees. And if you feel it helps you as a player, they're playing for such high stakes. It's such money now that it's like it is hard to be like, hey, if nobody's going to enforce you, then fucking stop doing that. So
right.
It's tricky. It's very tricky.
Didn't someone try and make the argument that Aimpoint statistically hasn't helped anybody?
I think that's like statistically true. If you look through it, like putting stats.
Lucas Glover on Sirius XM. Aimpoint
right.
statistically hasn't helped anybody make more putts since its inception on the tour. And it's also rude to be up near the hole stomping around. Yeah, that's what he said. He said it was rude.
Now, I think if we get Lucas Glover in these Trump meetings, this thing will be done by Wednesday. He's vocal and he's ready to fire. He's very opinionated.
It's rude. I love the rude part. That's fantastic.
But then the Aimpoint Golf Twitter account has like a whole stat sheet on how guys have basically cut their average strokes gain putting rank in half 12 months before and 12 months after Aimpoint. Right? Like Akshay Bhatia went from 52 to 24. Sam Burns went from 33 to 26. Garrick Higo went from 40 to 27. All these guys have really cut it. Not one guy's gone up. Adam Scott, 36 to 34. Average 39 to 32.
Okay.
This is funny. Aimpoint just has a Twitter account, like the official Aimpoint Twitter account.
That's big Aimpoint.
Just a putting method is just out there.
And they're getting in the weeds, man. Like Aimpoint, 13 footprints, old read, and he's got the clocks, and he's counting how many footprints actually happen with an old read as opposed to Aimpoint.
The truth of the matter is we just need to inject like 30 more superstars into the sport. That's it. If that happened tomorrow, no one would talk about Aimpoint. No one would talk about pace of play. People wouldn't give a shit about that. Right now, we're just arguing about things that we think could maybe help when the headline is we need more people to know about people who are playing golf professionally.
Dude, we used to have so much to talk about when it was Bryson and Patrick Reed were in the mix with all the. Remember, they were so polarizing all of the time. Every week, Bryson was doing something that had people so riled up. From spritzing the golf balls, he was putting side saddle. I had to ban the way he was putting.
Getting bit by red ants on a hill. We didn't, boys. We didn't know how good we had it when we had Patrick
getting
Reed.
taken out by ropes.
Yes.
Oh, Bryson,
yes,
dude, rope attacks.
2 weeks ago or a week ago, he was on the back patio of somebody's house with a rangefinder. It's like that's our guy.
We had Patrick Reed blatantly cheating, and then his wife tweeting at people that they were all cheaters. Those were the glory days.
Just didn't know how good we had it.
God,
it comes together.
Bitching about free seats at the Red Sox game while her husband's just out there.
That was the golden era of Patrick Reed and his wife on Twitter.
They're putting us in the cheap seats.
That's what we need, dude. That's what we need.
Sounds crazy, but I think it's certainly a part of it. Interesting characters make for more viewers, period.
I know.
I've sneezed 35 times this week, by the way. I've sneezed 35 times this week.
What?
Really?
We're doing a sneeze update. I don't know if Frankie's caught up to this. I think it was one of the podcasts when he was in London. We had a voicemail come in where him and his buddies have been discussing it. Over the course of a year, what do you do more? Do you sneeze or do you make pars?
Wow.
And I have said that I'm going to try to count. And I've actually seen a lot of people tweeting at me like, I brought this up to my buddies, and now when we're around each other and anytime one of them sneezes, it's like, that's a par. You call it out every time it happens. So
35 sneezes in a week is a lot. You're
shocking
sick.
Number of sneezes. What's wrong with you?
You're sick as a dog. Are you kidding me?
When we first
somebody get this guy an antibiotic.
When we first discussed this, I put the number at over under 10. I was like, I think in a week I'm going to sneeze over under 10 times. Your boy's been sneezing, but also it might be that if you start counting, you realize you sneeze way more than you think.
Bro, I know that what you're saying, and I know that you had the same way of thinking, but I genuinely don't think I sneeze more than once a day.
You might be wrong.
Me too.
I didn't sneeze today.
You don't know that.
I do know that. I have not sneezed today. I know for a fact. Bro, when I sneeze, it's a whole thing. My eyes get watery. I gotta like think about not sneezing. I'm always afraid of sneezing in the car when I drive.
Dude, so
So,
get
like-
this. All right. So I've sneezed 35 times this week. That's a stone cold fact. I keep it in my notes. I write down every time I sneeze. And if
What a psychopath.
if
I
you,
think you got to
you
be
know,
in the top 1% of sneezers. Nobody sneezes 35
if you
times
do
a
the
week.
math on that, 52 weeks a year times 35 sneezes a week, I got to make 1,800 pars. And that, it just ain't happening.
Bro,
Nope.
you have to be like stuffy this week. You're not sneezing 1,800 times a year. There's no way.
Put your money where your mouth is. Start counting.
I'm gonna start counting. I will. I'm starting at 0. That's for sure. Imagine I sneeze right now. Thinking about it, like just talking about it, makes you want to sneeze.
It does.
I'll try and remember. I mean, it is such a big moment. Your heart like kind of stops and like everything just kind of freezes for a second. So you should be able to remember to hit the counter. But all right, yeah, I'll start tracking it. 35, I would be. Dude, I'm thinking like I don't sneeze at night. Like when I'm laying in bed watching
You don't
TV, I
know that.
never sneeze.
You don't know that. I think once you start tracking, you're going to be sneezing way more than you thought.
I sneezed yesterday, and I remember it because I went right into my shoulder right here, and a guy was walking towards me, and I felt like I thought he was almost like if that was during COVID, I would have gotten tackled.
This might be a heavy sneeze week for me. Maybe, I'm going to keep counting. So next week, maybe I'll be at like 11 sneezes or less.
Because, dude, like during COVID, during peak, like wash your vegetables COVID, like when people were fucking hitting their like the outside of their car with Kleenex to get into it, like sneezing was like saying a racial slur. Like if you sneezed in public, your life was over. If you would have sneezed 35 times in public in 2021, you would have gotten arrested. You would have gotten arrested. So like that's what I mean. Like 35 times. Imagine the stress that came with sneezing back in the day.
Totally.
35 times would have been like you got to get strapped to like a Hannibal Lecter chair, and they'd be like, this guy's got to stop sneezing. These particles, you could fill up a whole room.
I will say some of the feedback that I've gotten on this is that once you start tracking, guys are like, "Wow, I sneeze way more than I thought."
All right, I'm not gonna. I will start to count. I'll start to count starting right now.
Okay, and we'll do sneeze updates. I like doing sneeze updates because people have been tweeting me being like, I'm going to try to do this, but if I keep going at 35 sneezes a week, that's my clip. I can't. Nobody can play enough golf or make enough pars to make that even out. So.
I'll keep track as well. It might have been 3 or 4 days since I've sneezed.
So you're over 4 sneezes a day.
5. I'm at 5 sneezes a day. 7 times 5 is 35.
Yeah,
that's shocking.
We'll see.
No
Sneeze
days
update
off
coming. We'll just every show we got to do a sneeze update.
Do you do multiple sneezes in a row? Are you?
Riggs and I talked about this when the question was originally asked. Yes, I'm now that I'm tracking, I'm a 2 to 3 guy.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I'm a 1 sneezer, so like 5 in one day. Just one big sneeze.
That's pretty rare.
Yeah, so like 5 in one day would be like I'd have to go to the hospital. You know what I mean? I'd be like, what is happening to me? Why am I sneezing so much?
It's like now when you sneeze when you're counting, it's ultimately kind of a bad thing because like, oh, now I got to make another par. But when you start counting and you sneeze, you're like, oh my god, I did the thing, and I got to write it down. And now we go with the counting.
So I've got a question. This guy sneezes 35 times a week, right? Am I rooming with you, do you think, at the Dadbod Classic? Is that something that you're prepared for, that I'm prepared for?
How would you not be? We've roomed every year together. Of course we are.
Well, one year he stuck me with that Canadian kid that fucking...
I wasn't there that year. I think he puts it
Dylan.
Dylan. I think he puts it where...
Blind caddy Dylan?
Yeah, I think if we're both going to be
dry as a bark on a tree.
Well, you got 2 problems with me, and the one we've talked about for a long time where I have diagnosed severe sleep apnea, and
Do you have a machine?
Dude, the machine, and I think I'm sure there's people out there who have sleep apnea. I can't wear the machine. I will get 0 hours of sleep. There's just some people can get used to it. Like I'm staying with my parents right now in Arizona. My dad has sleep apnea and he has a machine, loves it. He couldn't sleep without it. It just doesn't take to my face. I really, really tried and I just can't wear it. So no, long story short, I don't have the machine. So you got to deal with a guy who's going to snore like a grizzly bear and who's going to sneeze like a guy who needs to go to the hospital.
Oh my God, dude.
Can't wait to see it, pal.
There is no worse daunting feeling than knowing from Thursday to Sunday I will not sleep. You know what I mean? Like I will not rest. I won't rest. I'll sleep, but I won't rest.
And I feel bad because it's actually a bit of almost a Severance problem. The guy who goes to sleep isn't me. I'm not orchestrating these, or not sneezing, snore. I'm not orchestrating these snores so I can torture Frankie Borelli III. I would not do that. It's just my sleepy, when he goes to bed, he snores.
Turns into a fucking animal.
We've almost gotten to the point now where it's like, I would prefer, because Josh is so generous and this trip is incredible, and it's like, holy shit, I can't believe we get to do this every year. I would pay for my own room to just like,
or to go into the house, like I know some people get the house. Like there should be like a snore house.
I would stay in the snore house.
Really, really elevate this thing.
When we're done here, I'm gonna put you, me, and Josh on a text thread and be like, "Can I sleep at the snore house?" Because the Dadbod is one of the great trips that we get to go on. We're very lucky. I'm very happy, but I know that Frankie every year is sleep deprived when he's standing on the 7th hole at Pebble Beach and he can't hit the green. And it's like the reason is because he didn't hit a REM cycle last night because I'm snoring and breaking the windows next to him. So we got to figure something out.
We might need to room together because I might need you to put ointment on my back. Here's a little life update for the fellas.
Oh yeah.
This is actually pretty serious.
It is.
We talk a lot about, getting checked in terms of different health things. You always got to go to the doctor. My wife really pushed me to go get my skin checked. So I went to the dermatologist, and of course, all the jokes always come my way about, I have the whitest legs of all time, the skinniest legs. So I always wear pants, which is true, but I also burn like a motherfucker. It's something that I've always dealt with. I have white skin. I don't know how I didn't get my dad's skin. I got my mom's Irish skin. Somehow, some way, my dad can turn into, he's really a Frank Borelli.
Ron's God, Mr. Borelli.
He's really a Franco Joseph Borelli, the junior.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm as Irish as it gets when it comes to the skin. So I've probably had pretty bad burns as I've grown up, going in pools, whatever. Long story short, I go to get checked, and she's kind of looking at my arms. You do a full body check, you're naked as anything. It's crazy. It's very exposing. They want to check everything. And
smart.
She's going around, and there's a part of my neck that I was like, the only part I really don't cover, aside from my arms, is my neck. It's like right above the polo. So like that's got to just get beaten down. I have short hair. I always wear a hat forward when I golf. Like that's got to get beaten down. So she actually was like, "Yep, like that. There's a spot right there." She scraped something off, sent it to the lab to get checked, and then there was a spot in the middle of my back, in between the two shoulder blades, that she scraped off. And she's like, "Oh, I don't really like the look of this one." I was like, "Geez, like when's the last time that part seen the sun?" Like, and if it does, I'm always putting sunscreen on it. My wife's always spraying me. I'm pathetic anyway, so it's like I don't even want anyone to see me. So a week goes by, and and she's like, "I probably won't see you. Like these weren't that deep. It is what it is." A week goes by, and I get a call, and she's like, "Hey, we need you to come back next week. The one that on your neck was fine, but the one that was in between your shoulder blades has an abnormal amount of like mutated cells on it. So like if we don't get this out, that turns into melanoma and skin cancer. There's the first signs of skin cancer on your back." And it's really like, all right, she's like, "Don't freak out. Like this is like precancerous. It's fine. But like, if this is something that if you just avoided coming here for the next, let's say 5, 7, 10 years, and you just never went to the skin doctor, that's full blown skin cancer. It seeps into like your muscle and like into the fat and all that. And then there it goes. It's just, you then have cancer. Right. So it's crazy. I'm 31 years old, and I'm sure this story is as common as anything, right? Everyone goes to the skin doctor and gets something taken off. Sure. But that's how scary it is that there's a lot of things that I put off in my life, whether it be go to the dentist or go to there's a lot of things that you're just like, I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to go get my blood taken or go for an update but you have to. So like, I'm just thinking like I hadn't gone to the skin doctor in 12 years. So if I did that again, right? The last time I went was probably in like high school.
Yeah.
So if I had done that another 12 years, who knows what that would have turned into?
I think it's an important point. Like, bottom line, everybody should go get checked. Everything, get your skin checked, get your, go to the doctor as much.
Colon. Everything. Go to the gastro and check. Like I'm going to the gastro in 2 weeks. Check my, my digestive system. Maybe there's been something wrong with that. I'm always like burping up shit, and I'm always like, I always have heartburn. I'm like, oh, it's Italian stress. It's agita, we call it. Maybe it's fucking something else. Who knows? You just gotta get it checked. And it's not to be like a Debbie Downer or like WebMD on a podcast and like freak everyone out. But like I have a chunk out of my back right now because they had to take the skin out so that it didn't grow into something bad. And you have to go do that. So long story short, I might need you to ointment me up.
I might be in the snore house, but if I'm with you,
I
I'll
got
put the
serious
ointment on.
cleaners in here right now, which is just
I could hear that.
unbelievable timing at that moment right there. So I got
But a bit of a
cleaning
serious
the
moment.
shit
I
out
just heard a vacuum go. Wah!
No, but I mean,
You
it's
gotta be
scary,
kidding
but
me.
it's not like, and they're so nice there too. They're like, listen, like this is as common as like what, like, getting a mole, like all these things
That's
could
good.
have these things could have all bad stuff on it. But now I have to go every 6 months. Like now it's not as
Yeah.
common. Like I have to go every 6 months and I have to get checked now and you have to stay on top of it. And like, you have to use sunscreen because maybe it's something genetic. Maybe, who knows? You don't know what the answer is. So, but
No.
of course, the skinniest, whitest fucking guy, the whitest, palest guy in the group just had something taken off for skin cancer. It's like it goes against every idea that you have of skin cancer.
But that's also a good call to action then, because there are probably people out there who are like, I'm never in the sun. I cover up. I put on 80 SPF. I do all the right things. And this stuff largely, and again, I'm not a doctor, but it feels pretty random. So it's good to just go get checked.
Thank God you went and got checked.
Right? Thank God. And they check everything. Check in between your toes. There's places that you can't believe they're checking under, like your ass cheek, like above everything. Like they're looking there because they're like it could grow anywhere. It doesn't mean that sun obviously can mutate it, but Justin Thomas dealt with this, right? Like Justin Thomas has a whole full-blown sunscreen line and charity based off of getting checked because he saw something, or someone saw something in the back of his leg, I think it was. Or maybe it was the back of his ear or something. I know maybe it's the back of his leg because I think you can still see the scar. Skin cancer, like just got it taken out, chunk of his leg out.
I think Dave 6 months ago had one taken out of his neck.
On his neck.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got to get checked, especially if
And
you're
Casey
on the sun.
Smith. Casey Smith had that too. Casey Smith was on the sideline talking during a basketball game or a football game, and someone DM'd her and was like, I saw you from the crowd. She had her hair up or something. You should get that thing on the back of your neck checked. And she did, and it was fucking this.
Yeah. No, just go get checked. That's kind of the headline of this segment.
I'm signing up to go get checked everywhere right now. Like you're
Me
saying,
too.
it's like it's crazy not to just do that stuff more often, but you don't think about it. You just get busy, you forget about stuff. You don't, whatever. You just move on with your life.
Yeah.
Don't realize it. But glad you got that taken care of, Frank.
Yeah.
It's very, very
getting
scary.
cut.
Jesus. Getting cut.
It was funny too. The doctor is a great guy, and I don't know his last name. His first name was Andrew. Big golfer. I was wearing this like Pine Valley hoodie, and he like knew all about it. And he's talking to me, and I'm like, dude, I'm going to Pebble. He's like, because I got stitches. I have like 5 stitches. And he's like, oh, like you might rip these out if you're swinging. I'm like, you know what? It's a built-in excuse now. Like, there's nothing better than going to a boys trip, and like if you don't play well, it's like, well, I got this cancer taken out of my back. So like, and Lurch, when I see him, he's gonna smack me on the back and like be annoying.
Oh yeah. You'll be bleeding through.
Yeah. Oh, how could someone as pathetic as you get this? Like, you never see the
As
sign.
he's got crumbs falling out of his mouth.
Crumbs, yeah. So we're gonna see Lurch this weekend, which will be fun. I know he kind of hinted at coming on the show today, which was like he didn't show up, right? Because we would have to go to his schedule. Like that's what ruined our lives for 3 years.
I mean,
He's got a big weigh-in.
Oh yeah, he said he was going to lose a bunch of weight, which him and I are kindred spirits in that regard. Where every time I see him, anytime we talk, like it's like, yeah, I got to lose some weight. We're always right around like 260, and we're like, we can't be weighing 260. And then it's like deja vu. Every year I see him, it's Groundhog's Day, and I do the same thing. I see him, and I'm like, I'm 260 again. He's like, I'm 265. We got to lose some weight. And it's just over and over. And he's doing a weigh-in this year at the Dadbod. Is that right?
Yeah, he's doing a weigh-in, and I believe he's doing a competition against another member of the trip on who could lose more weight. And I'm pretty sure that all he's done since then is gain weight. Like I've talked to Jizzy yesterday, and Jiz was like, he's going to come in more than he started this thing as. He's the only person in the world that could do that. He's the only person in the world who is openly lactose intolerant and eats more cheese and dairy in front of your face than any human I've ever seen in my entire
Talk
life.
about a guy who needs to go to the gastrologist or whatever they're called.
God.
That guy needs to go see a gut doctor because it's just bubbling inside him. He cannot process milk, and he eats the most dairy I've ever seen. Yeah. He will have a cheese fondue set like at an appetizer. The appetizer area of the Dadbod Classic. He's at the cheese area, just eating raw dairy.
Yeah. Yep.
It's insane.
It's crazy.
His body's like we can't take it. So I think both teams are weighing in. I think like there's like
everybody is. Yeah, I think we're doing like a whole
it's like team versus team, and then at the end, whatever they're gonna do it at the end.
I weigh like 260, 265 right now. I'm going to be hurting.
You can
Well,
lose
I
weight.
will say I
Nobody's-
am excited, and you could probably run this back in a week when we re-record after the trip. But my game feels good, so I'm excited to play
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pebble and all those cool ass courses at a point in my game where I feel amazing. So it's like I'm chomping at the bit to get out there.
Nothing better than that. Nothing better than that. You're going to play some iconic courses. You feel good about your game. That's just the best. I think our weather looks pretty good this year. We've had some shit weather over the last couple of years, relatively. Again, it's like champagne problems is the whole thing here, but it looks pretty good. It looks like it's gonna be like 60, maybe high 50s. Hopefully, we avoid the rain this year. So a little trip out to Pebble Beach.
I'm coming prepared this year. I never go to the Pebble area with the right gear, and we always end up getting great gear. Obviously, Todd Martin and the whole like Peter Millar team will always hook us up, but like I never go with the right like stuff. Like this year, I got like a little turtleneck that goes underneath a golf shirt, like a little like, and I got like long johns to go underneath the golf pants, like just things that I every time I'm out there that I wish I had, because that stuff cuts right through you. Those like 8 a.m. 50-degree, windy, rainy rounds are like, aside from how beautiful the golf courses are, you wouldn't wish like those feelings on your worst enemy. It's so cold, and like you hit one wrong, and it's like it shoots up the hands. Like, just stay warm. That's like, I never am prepared. And then you got guys like POB. These are all names that no one understands anything. But you got guys that like you're facing in matches, the Dadbod, and they have like everything. They got the mittens on. They've got like electric warmers. They've got all these everything hats, and I'm standing there shivering.
I'm not prepared at all. You bringing this up makes me realize how unprepared I am for the weather.
I got it all, dude. I got like windbreaker stuff. I can't wait. My bag is so set. I'm bringing extra shafts just in case I'm like, because I'm not hitting my driver really good right now, so I might like bring the old shaft from my old driver. I might pop that one on.
This guy's a tour pro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot a 97. I am gonna hit the fucking green on 7 though.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
come on, man.
Come on.
I am.
It'd be awesome.
I'm just gonna, I mean, it's in between clubs now. I took the 50 out of my bag, which is hilarious. So I got to hit like a knockdown pitching wedge. So that brings in like duff zone. But you know, we're just going to hit it. Or I hit a 54 as hard as I can. If it comes up short, it comes up short. I've been short 5 times.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're going to get a 54 there. I think it's usually like a 100-yard, 80, 90-yard shot.
If it's 85 yards, I hit a nice 54 degree there.
Yeah.
If it's into the wind and playing like 110, we start to like deal with flighting
hit a
balls.
hit a little wedge. I know I'd be in the same boat.
We'll see. It's gonna be fun.
I'm excited. Voicemails. I believe we got some voicemails lined up. From the gallery is now a voicemail submission. You call in at 646-685-4717. Brought to you by Truly Hard Seltzer, the Truly Unruly. It's the first high ABV hard seltzer that actually tastes good. That is a fact. That is true. We love them. It breaks all the rules. The Truly Unruly drinks light, parties hard with 8% ABV. It hits hard, but still tastes amazing. Comes in 4 fresh flavors, by the way. Tropical Twist, Berry Blast, Citrus Crush, Strawberry Smash. It's the official hard seltzer of Foreplay, and you can find Truly Unruly at a store near you or visit www.trulyhardseltzer.com. Again, that is trulyhardseltzer.com. They are the Truly Unruly, 8% ABV and still delicious. Let's get some voicemails here, Alex Bush.
What up, boys? It's Jake from Phoenix. Shout out, Riggs. Got a quick one for you. My good buddy, his name is Matt. He has 2 hole-in-ones in a row. Now, it was on a first tee course. I think the par was like a 62. And that's the only place, really, you can have back-to-back par 3s. But he has a hole-in-one and then another hole-in-one. Should he continue to play golf? Because he'll never get any better than that. Want to hear your thoughts. Love the show. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I mean, this brings in the whole debate on like, is a hole-in-one at an executive course or like a short course a real hole-in-one? A par 62 or 61, you start to lean more towards real golf course. It's not, there's par 4s out there. There's par 5s.
I weirdly think getting 2 in a row almost argues against the hole-in-one. It's almost like, oh yeah, you can just get 2 in a row and it's no problem. Like, that to me, that's what first came up in my head. It could be
There's
wrong,
courses that have back-to-back par 3s. There's a
Pacific
bunch. One of
Dunes.
them being Pacific Dunes. One of them being Rockville Links that
That's
we
true.
have had almost like every Breaking 90 episode at ever. The 9th and 10th hole. I'm sorry. Yeah, the 9th and 10th hole are both par 3s, and the 8th Dude, the 7th and the 8th are par 5s. The 9th and the 10th are par 3s. And then the 11th's a par 5. So you play 3 par 5s and 2 par 3s in 5 holes.
That's awesome.
I guess you would
awesome.
want to know like what the yardages were for those, but I'm not gonna. It doesn't feel like right away where I'm like take those away. They're not real, but they could be.
I mean, obviously he should continue to play golf, but it will never get any cooler than that. I'm wondering is in that situation, do you think the first one or the second one was more exciting?
Second one. Second one's like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
you can't believe it because you're already riding a high, walking up to that tee box, especially since it's back to back. You can't believe like you're like. Because I feel I've never made a hole in one, but like after that hole in one, that next swing is probably so intense. You're like, oh my God, my heart's racing. Don't lose the ball. Like, what a day out here, fellas. You're still hugging each other. You're like laughing. Someone probably makes a comment like, do it again. And then you go up and you hit it and you make it again. You feel like you've died and now you're like God. You know what I mean? Like you're now in the afterlife and like everything just goes in. That third hole, after those two, you probably feel like there's nothing you can't do.
True.
Right.
My brother was a victim of that because he got a hole in one on the 10th hole at Pacific Dunes, and it was like 162 downhill off of that like dune. Got his hole in one, and then the next hole is that short par 3 back like into the wind. It was like 140 or something. He hit a 9-iron again and topped it into the shit and made a triple. So he legit he went hole in one triple with the same club in his hands.
Back to back is crazy. That's crazy.
That's outrageous.
You're on that next tee and you're like, is the hole in play again? Like, even if it's not a par 3.
Par 5.
Yeah.
Par 5. I think I'm going to make this. I think I'm going
the guy in his group's like, do it again.
That is very cool, though. That's something he'll never forget. I do think, it's got to be the second one, probably more exciting, where you're just like, I can do no wrong out here. And that's
first
pretty rare.
One, dude, is like your first hole at one of your life. You're going nuts.
Yeah, true.
You know, that's Matt. Congratulations to Matt. You know, his buddy Matt.
Shout out Matt.
Good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on, boys? Connor from New York. Kind of an oddball question here. I think Frankie will like it. There's a bowl of grapes sitting in front of you. 1,000 total grapes. 999 completely safe. 1 is poisonous. Every grape you eat from the bowl is $100,000 in your bank account. How many do you eat before you quit risking or not risking dying from the poisonous grape? Have a good one, boys.
I believe I did. I actually think I saw KFC and them discussing this one as well. Give a shout out to our
Was this
podcast.
on KFC Radio? Seems like a KFC Radio.
Yeah, it's very shout out to our podcast brethren at Barstool Sports. But all right, 1,000 grapes. One of them's poisoned. $100,000 for each one you eat. How many you eating?
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
If you're going to commit to eat some, you got to eat a pretty good amount of them, I feel like. I'm either doing 0 or I'm going like 50 of them.
No, dude, I don't know, man. I'm picturing, I have a bowl of grapes downstairs that I eat. Hannah fills up our refrigerator with grapes all the time. Red grapes and green grapes. I love grapes. It's my favorite snack. I love a crunch. Ice cold grapes. She'll say it to me if I'm in a bad mood. She'll be like, I got ice cold grapes at home. I'm like, okay, it's kind of a reset.
I like that. That's funny.
It's almost like the Tom Green new special. He says when he needs to reset the credits, he goes, when I say chicken, you say sandwich, chicken, sandwich. And everyone just kind of, he's like, wow, it's reset. It's now reset.
That's you no matter what I've said. Grapes.
No matter what I've said, it's all reset now. It's so good, dude. Tom Green's one of my favorite people. Dude, he's so funny. He's just like out of the, it's called I Bought a Mule. I got a mule. He's been living in Canada for like 10 years. No, not 10 years, since COVID. And he's just like a wilderness guy now. And he's so fucking funny. I loved his stand-up. It's boring, but it's so Tom Green.
Dude, I used to watch the Tom Green show. He was like pre-internet. If he had, he's a legend. He's so funny.
I used to love the Tom Green show.
It's so good. He's very funny. Man, I think I eat 0 grapes, man. Bro, I just like that first grape could be it, man. I don't know. Like it's a 1%. How many? It's a 0. What's that percentage chance? There's 1,000 grapes, right?
0.01. Is that what it is? Yeah, 0.
Right.
0.1, I guess is what it would be, percent.
0.1%. No, yeah, you got to eat a couple, right? Because like if you eat the first grape and it's a 0.1%, is that what it is? 0.1? It's a 0.1% chance of dying. I sound like beef there, of dying. you deserve to die. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like-
Cosmically, it's just not written in the stars for you to live where you get to eat 10 grapes, get $1 million and you're chilling.
You've probably done things in life that had a higher percentage chance than 0.1% of dying, and you've successfully done it.
Getting in a car, getting on an airplane, especially now in 2025, I guess. Like, you've definitely done things where it's like, it's dicier than those numbers.
Problem
Yes.
is, the more you eat, the more that percentage goes up, right? So, like, is there a percentage that you just cut it? Or do you eat 10 grapes for $1 million and you're like, I'm out of here? Because, like, I don't want to die today. Like, I just don't want to die. So, like, I don't know if I.
That's why I kind of said 0 or a good amount, because I'm like, if I'm either taking no risk, or if I am, it better be a seriously life-changing amount of money.
But dude, you've eaten 15 grapes, right? And you have $1.5 million. You're grabbing another grape, and you're like, I have a ton of money right now. Am I going to eat this thing or potentially die? Like, there's got to be a number where it starts to really fuck you up.
I think you're right on the number. I think it's 10 to 20, and you step away from the table.
Dude, think about like the 5th grape. You're like, fuck, we've already made it. God, every grape you eat, you're like, I hope this bite doesn't kill me.
Right. You're 3 grapes in, and you already made $300,000.
I don't know that I'd be able to do this challenge, man. I'd be
Dude,
shaking.
then you start, I don't know, you start thinking like, dude, I just risked my life 4 times for 400 grand, which is really like 200 grand after taxes. Like, that was crazy.
I think the grape money I think the grape money has to be tax free.
Yeah,
it is.
yeah. In this scenario, I hope the IRS.
I bet Trump's America, like no tax on tips, no tax on grape challenge.
No tax on grapes.
Kind of get through that. I think,
Yeah.
you know, I'm just thinking if I'm either going, I'm most likely going 0, or I need to commit to like, all right, I'm going for $5 million. And if I die, I die.
Imagine, but like Frankie's saying, after each one, imagine after grape 48, and you're like, I got $4.8 million, and I'm
It would be devastating if it was grape 49 or 50 after that.
Right.
Would you guys go one at a time, or would you take 20 grapes and just throw them all in your mouth? And you're just like, you know what I mean? You're just like, oh, and you're just chewing, and you're looking at everyone, and you're just like, we're clean, 2 mil, I'm done.
Dude, I like that. I really like that. I
just
like
fucking,
because I wouldn't. You know what's great about that is you wouldn't know which one got you.
100%.
Never
grab
know.
them all, and you fucking throw them in your mouth. If you pass out, you pass out.
If you eat 20 rapid fire grapes, it could have been the 1st or the 19th or the 13th. You don't know.
Just fill it up like a chipmunk.
I got to be honest. I think like the grape reaper here who sets this up wouldn't allow you to do that. He'd be like, I need the drama, dude. I got this show going on here. I need you to eat one at a time.
I think 15 is a good number. Walk away from the table with 1.5 milli tax free with the grape.
My heart's kind of racing just thinking about it, right? Like, I don't ever want to be put in the position where I have to choose between life and death. That's something I don't want to ever have to do.
I think that's a fair point.
So, like, the idea that, you know, like, I don't know.
And like I think the KFC radio clip I saw, Jackie was talking like, yeah, the numbers you can run them, like it's 0.001% chance that you get the one that kills you. But every time you're holding that grape, it feels 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels that way. Because it is technically like you're just holding it and it either is or it isn't.
I would also like jumble all the grapes around.
Yeah,
and then I feel like that probably brings in like it can now be on the top.
Right. If I'm going into this, I'm thinking the grape reaper is putting it on top. He's putting the bad grape on top.
Just for being so greedy that like you're even playing the game, you know?
Yeah.
Or does he know you're going to think that and he puts it somewhere in the middle of the bottom and you're bringing it right to the top?
15. That's my number.
God, dude, I don't know.
I kept going 0. I think I'm risking it.
Come on. I mean, Frank, you got a kid coming. I get it. You know,
don't
Riggs,
get me.
Riggs, we're flying by the seat of our pants here.
It's true.
Solo
man,
dolo on the kid front.
Dude, nothing. Our lives don't matter to anybody, dude. You know, we could just get. Who cares? A couple grapes too. Grapes are good for you. They're delicious.
Unless you get the one that kills
They're
you.
so good.
So you could come out of there with $10 million. Is that 100?
Imagine you ate.
Right?
If you ate 9, what would you get if you ate 999 grapes and you really tested your luck? How much money is that? What's 999 times 100,000?
The 999th grape would be
electric.
So riveting.
That's $99 million.
You're doing all right at that point.
Mr. Beast
So bad
might
at
actually
math.
do this. He might have people do this.
I was wondering if the league could you get people to sign a waiver and do this?
I don't think so.
It seems people
Not
do
like
it.
kill them, but like you got to like make them sick. You know?
No, then everybody.
Oh my
be
god,
all-
I will eat 999 grapes.
Yeah, Trent's sneezing up a storm. Anyways, he's
I'm
sick.
already sick. I already ate
sneezing
the
100
grape.
times a day. Right.
I already ate the bad grape apparently.
Oh man,
It's a good question.
man,
Yeah, it makes me kind of anxious. I don't love it.
That means it's a good one.
that is a good
I don't
one,
like the idea of eating that first grape. It gives me the heebie-jeebies.
too.
You get
Ugh.
past that first one though, and you're kind of like, here we go.
No, I think it revs up. I think you're like, I'm
It
flirting
would.
with the devil right now.
You would be such an asshole on the internet forever if you died on the first grape. I mean, you'd be a legend, but people would be like, man, that guy's got the worst luck on planet Earth.
Yeah.
The worst.
You'd just be the grape guy, dude. Remember that grape guy?
Remember that guy who
Oh,
they
lucky
set up
was
this whole
that.
challenge and he died on the first grape?
One of 1,000, dude. And he just fucking died. That would suck.
That's a good question. I like that.
All right. Anybody have anything else out there?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I wanted to get to my sneeze update. We got to that. We talked about death grapes.
We got to
talked
start.
about-
Me and Frankie got to start counting our sneezes.
I'm at 0 since we started talking about it.
Me too. So are you, Trent?
Yeah.
No, I mean, make sure you go buy that players merch today. As
Mhm.
always, you know, it's a new year. The support just keeps this train on rolling. The Barstool Classics keeps it all rolling. The opportunity to go do all these cool things and make things bigger. You know, obviously these collabs with these huge events are big for us. So we know that they'll do well in the tent because the tent's, you know, the merch is so good and it's right there right when you walk in. But, you know, online, this is, you know, straight to the pockets of El Presidente. So show up for the fellas.
Yeah. It'd be great.
Snag that merch. We'll have the links all over the place. We got fantastic gear this year. Love the event. We'll be out there. Somebody will be playing in the Wednesday version of the event with the little Creator Classic. So pump for that.
And
Thanks for
also
listening.
Wednesday, I think we got a big video coming up this Wednesday. And we could talk about this maybe like in the first ad read or something since we didn't really plug it. But the Scottie Scheffler video is out on Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
Well,
Scottie
so-
Scheffler, alternate shot, Trent Ryan and Scottie Scheffler versus Riggs and myself, I think were the teams. And Scottie had to use Trent's P790s
Correct.
in the
Mhm.
match. And that was, I mean, you got to think he's like 3 to 4 levels off of the P790 in terms of like forgiveness and juice and distance and all that stuff. And watching Scottie Scheffler, the greatest golfer in the world right now, deal with that. And this was like, you know, before he got hurt, he got the little hand injury. He was coming
Yeah.
off being 9 tournaments,
This
Won,
is
like, the
9
whole
tournament
deal.
winner, Scottie Scheffler.
like not
Oh,
beginning
yeah.
of the year, like broke his head, like, you know, lacerated his hand on a wine glass. Scottie, this is like Scottie fucking Scheffler.
Yep.
Him dealing with the yardage changes and talking through them and the shots that he ends up hitting. That is a video that like you'll be sending to your butt. Like people that are watching this are gonna clip that stuff and be sending that to everybody, being like, "Look how fucking good this guy is."
Yeah.
Like, can you believe this guy? Like, you're at like, yes, it's a cool video that we got to like collaborate with him, and everyone gets to watch like us with Scottie, and there's a lot there, right? Like Scottie hadn't answered me in years, so we get into all that stuff, and I'm so proud of him, and I love him, and I'm kind of weird about him. But aside from that, it's so cool to watch him do this and hit with our clubs and talk through the difference. It's a really great video.
Totally.
And we get
ever
multiple
think-
holes with him. It's not just one of those like one and dones.
You ever think it's like weird that we're significantly older than Scotty?
Oh
It's like
yeah.
Comes off as like such a, you know, he's such a champion.
I think about
Such,
that
like, a
all the
mature
time,
champion.
dude. Because I'm such a fanboy that like it always is weird when they're younger, right? Like Matt Barzell is younger than me by a long shot, but he's like, I'm intimidated by him. Like
Right.
talking to him's like still, I mean, he's one of my buddies, so it's like, I hate to say it, but it's like cool. Like, you know, like he's fucking Barzy. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? In high school, he would have been like in middle school when I was in high school.
Yeah, there's something about Scottie too where he feels like a 34-year-old, but he's 28.
I know.
Oh,
He's
it's so
28 years
crazy.
old,
He's
dude.
3
I can't
years
really
younger
believe
than
that.
me? What the
Yeah.
fuck?
And you're the
Can't
youngest
be
person on
proud
this
of him.
show.
I can't be proud of his ass.
Frankie's the youngest guy on the show, and he's way
I
older
know.
than Scottie.
That's nuts.
It is a great.
We're an
video.
old
think about it.
podcast,
Getting old.
relatively speaking.
Yeah,
I think like the average age being like 34, 35 is old, right?
I feel old.
like comparable to, you know, you got like Kai Trump and all these other like new, like up and coming, like just like 19-year-old and 25-year-olds. Like good. They're like young. They're early 20s, aren't they?
Oh, I mean, I think Garrett's 25.
Fuck that, man.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
Bob's
just kind of how the
older
world
than
works,
us.
but it is.
They're
it
older
is-
than us.
What?
Yeah.
I think Colcutt's is in his 40s, right?
I have no idea.
I'm not sure either.
That may have been a stray. I don't know that he's in his 40s. I think he's close. I think Colcutt's is older though.
That's funny. I don't know how old any of those guys are.
I would say
don't
Bob
either.
is a little older than me. 32, I would guess.
Okay.
Perez has to be like 34, 35. I think
I think he's a
Colcutt's
little
like
older.
38.
I have no clue.
Nothing wrong
Is
with
Alex
that.
Bush know?
I just looked it up. I don't know how reputable these sites are, but 38.
38 for Colcutt's.
I'm 38. We got a couple 38
Yeah.
year olds. I think
There you go. So
for YouTube, we're definitely old. Podcasting, I think you kind of need to be a little bit. I mean, what do you?
podcasting for sure. We're right. We're probably considered actually young. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
YouTube
that's
is
right.
getting younger every 10 minutes.
I know. It's bad.
Every 10 minutes. It gets younger.
Scary. All right. Make sure you check out the Players Championship merchandise and check out Wednesday, that video with the world #1 dominant player, Scottie Scheffler. We will be back Thursday. Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.
Hit it hard.